silver the new gold, and is this the right time to put your money into it? Let's find out. Welcome to TOI Wallet Talks. The aim today is to understand whether silver is a better investment bet than gold and what is the outlook for silver prices. Answering these questions is Naveen Mathur. He is the Director of Commodities and Currencies at Anand Rathi Share and Stockbrokers Limited. Welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah.
So my first question to you is that why are silver prices rising?
Smriti, thank you very much for having me on this show. The silver has been a quite volatile commodity, or I would say as an asset class too, because people actually in India use silver as an investment asset also, being part of the bullion segment. Apart from gold, the silver also is kind of an investment asset class. See, we have seen the first half of the year, I would say the initial months of the year, this particular calendar year has been seen for the concerns with respect to the global economy, the recessionary fears, and at the same time, the people have started looking forward to the dovish stance of the central bank to prop up the growth in the world economy. With that, we have seen the dollar index depreciating. The concerns with respect to recessionary and global economy has boosted the demand of the safe metals, risk-averse asset classes. I would say bullion particularly is the risk-averse asset class. And as you see in gold, the silver also to an extent play a similar role for the people to hedge their risk investments into the non-risk investments. In this particular case, there has been a record deficit, the rise in demand, and therefore all those factors contributed to the prices of silver touching new highs in the last couple of days or weeks, I would say.
Okay, but what is the near-term outlook for silver? Are prices expected to continue rising and even for the entire year?
So it takes some characteristics of bullion. At the same time, Smriti, it is also widely used for industrial purposes. If I'm saying industrial purposes, what I'm trying to say is that the silver acts as an industrial metal for various electrical equipments, electrical needs. The silver actually, to an extent of 55 to 60%, is used for the industrial application. So having said that, I think the economy have started moving up. We are out of the COVID questions as of now. The central banks have become dovish from the hawkish stance, and at the same time, the investment demand continues. So I think all these factors in a near term can say, or I would say in a long term can say for the prices to go up. But in the near term, I would say that the correction might be there in case of silver. Currently, the markets are hovering, I would say, at around 74,300, 400 levels on the MCX, which is a futures contract. I see a correction to an extent of 71,000 to 72,000 in the near term. But at the same time, if the economy starts moving up, we are seeing some kind of a resolution also happening on the geopolitical concerns with respect to the Russia and Ukraine factor. Now, if we see that, I think if the economy starts building up with the dovish stance of the central banks, the governments across the world, I think the base metal demand would come up. And as an industrial metal, silver may touch even 80 to 81,000 a kg in say 3 to 4 months. But near term, it can be a correction to a level of around 71,000 to 72,000 per kg on the MCX.
So your outlook for this year for silver prices is around 80, 81 once the correction has happened and it sees a rise again.
Yes, Smriti. So I think there is some steam left out with silver at this particular point of time. The Chinese economy has been in doldrums for the last couple of years. Post the aftermath of the COVID, the economy, the zero COVID policy, etc. The economy is in, I would say, in doldrums. They are not growing the way they have grown over the last 2 or 3 decades. I think with positive trends coming out of the central banks in terms of their stance to the interest rates, they are going now pro-growth rather than pro-inflation, and inflation has been taken care of. So I think overall, therefore, seems to be that there is some steam left out on silver. It might go to a level of around 80 to 81,000, but a small correction, okay, a knee-jerk reaction on the downside is still anticipated in the near term.
But if I have to invest, then is silver a better investment bet compared to gold?
As far as the investment is concerned, it depends upon the risk profile of the customer and the need of the money for the investments, meaning the kind of duration for which the customer or an investor is looking forward to invest in silver. I would say for a general audience that gold is a definite best option. Being we know gold pretty well, means silver, as I said earlier, is a dynamic commodity. So you need to understand just not the bullion in case of silver. You also need to understand where the base metal is moving up. What is the supply demand, or I would say the fundamental factors driving the base metal or the industrial metal. So apart from the bullion, you need to therefore understand the industrial metals across the world, how they are playing out. So I think therefore the gold is a better option. It's less volatile. You can understand the trend of gold better than silver. And for a layman, it is definitely a good option because you have in gold couple of options to invest. Right from the physical side of the gold, the coins and the bars, you can also invest through the sovereign gold bonds. You can also take your exposure in gold through the gold ETF. So you have a couple of the options in gold for your investment needs. In silver, Smriti, it is quite restricted, although we have silver ETFs apart from the physical holding, but the silver ETFs are not that liquid. So I think from a perspective of a little risk-averse investor, gold would be a better option because of the understanding and the knowledge about it. But if you are a trader, if you are looking forward to have a view, then it doesn't matter whether you do it for gold or you do it for silver.
Okay. But if I have to invest in silver, you said there are limited options. What are these limited options?
So the limited option, in case of the silver buying, the limited options are just the bars and the coins, which you can buy from the physical market as you normally do. And recently we have seen the silver, as I was mentioning, the silver ETF also coming up as an investment product. The liquidity in silver ETF has not picked up the way the liquidity you have on the gold ETF. Okay. The best part of why I'm saying gold investment as an investment portfolio is that you have the sovereign gold bonds, which are issued now in every tranches, month or the other. And the returns are also better than the underlying, because you get 2.5% additional return if you are invested in the sovereign gold bond.
So what percentage of my portfolio should be invested in commodities?
All the major studies have always talked about gold, or I would say bullion particularly, to be part of any of the asset classes. Okay. Right. Now, since it's a risk-averse asset, it complements, or I would say it is inversely correlated to the risky markets. Now, if you have seen examples of 2008, 2009, the global financial crisis, at that time also the gold prices and the silver prices touched all-time highs, even in dollar and in Indian rupees. After the COVID and within COVID, and even today, we are seeing the gold or silver prices moving up. So since it's an inverse correlation asset class, a risk-averse asset class, I think people should have their exposure towards bullion and particularly gold to an extent of about, I would say 10 to 12% of the total portfolio. So if your portfolio is, say, 10 million rupees, out of that 10% to 15%, you must part with the bullion as a risk-averse strategy. You should never see gold particularly as a return asset class. You should see it as a risk-averse asset class, because when the risk assets go down, the risk-averse assets being opposite or inversely correlated would help you to profit on the exposure which you have on these assets.